Hi everyone, check. Good evening. I hope that I'm audible in this video. So yeah, before we start to the judge test result and also the discussion, so allow me to introduce myself. My name is Chia. I am one of the core education panel of Hasanuddin British Parliamentary that will be held tomorrow and also Sunday. So yeah, representing the core education panel, in this video, we will start the part 1 of the judge test result and also the discussion, in which in this part, we're going to discuss about the true or false questions. So without further ado, let's begin. Number 1. In the motion, this House regrets the existence of social media. One of the main burdens of team government is to prove why it is justified for the government to ban the existence of social media. The answer is false, because this is an evaluation motion. So there is no need to argue why banning social media is justified. The previous statement can only be made relevant if the motion is about this House will ban social media. If the motion is only talking about this House regrets A or this House regrets B, that means you have to assess the A or B, in this case, the existence of social media, and then you can link it back on what is the harm behind the social media or what is the benefit behind the social media, and then you can link it further as to why social media should be regretted or why social media should be celebrated. So that's for the first question. Second question. In the motion, this House, as NATO, would prefer to directly reinvade Afghanistan. Side opposition is allowed to bring an argument saying that NATO would not intervene in Afghanistan because of U.S. decision to withdraw from Afghanistan that implies U.S. vetoing any proposal to intervene in Afghanistan. The answer is false, because proposition fiat exists, in which proposition fiat assumes that the debate is feasible or possible to be done, regardless of the reality that China would most likely veto this proposal. So that's for the second question. Proposition fiat exists, so there is no need of unnecessary debate talking about whether or not veto might exist and etc. So the motion will not happen. So that's not going to be a healthy debate later on. So please make sure that proposition fiat exists. So yeah, for opposition, be careful in engaging to a certain motion that has a certain proposition fiat behind it. Number 3. In the motion, this House prefers a world where people are unable to forget their life experiences. The opposition can defend another imaginary world where people can erase their memory instead. The answer is false. In the motion about this House prefers a world where X opposition is required to defend the status quo first, except if the motion explicitly says this House prefers a world where X is over Y. That means opposition can define the Y condition. But in this motion, there's only a portrayal of X, right? That means it's about X versus X minus. The X minus here is the status quo. So make sure, as the opposition, do not add unnecessary burden of proof. Under the motion, this House prefers a world where X only. Okay. So yeah, if there is a two comparative worlds, yeah. Giving Y condition is the correct burden of proof. But in this case, it is not the correct burden of proof. So that's for the third question. Question number 4. In the motion, this House believed that feminist movement should actively recruit conservative women. The most important clash of the debate must be about which proposal is better for conservative women, as conservative women are the most vulnerable actor in the debate. The answer is false, because judges should not assume what the main clash of the motion is, because the importance of the clash depends on the dynamic of the debate. There are other possible clashes that might be framed out as the most important thing by the debaters. So it depends on the framing, it depends on the way the debaters emphasize their clashes in the debate. So yeah, as judges, please be flexible in assessing a certain issues. Do not use your preconceived notion or preconceived bias saying that, yeah, this is the most important clash. Please note down the most important clash based on how the debaters emphasize it in the debate. Number 5. The motion is this House as Democratic Party should embrace left-wing populism. OG defines the Democratic Party as the Democratic Party in Indonesia led by Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono. OG made compelling arguments given the definition they chose. OOCG and CO defined the Democratic Party as the American Democratic Party and proceed to the debate without engaging in any of the OG's argument. This is a legitimate move made by OOCG and CO. The answer is true. OG's definition can be considered as squirreling. A definition challenge to this is completely justified by other teams, and they should not be penalized or not engaging to OG's definition, because OG's definition is already squirreling at the very first place. So in order to save the debate, yeah, OOCG and CO can bring the right context or the right definition just to make sure that the debate goes back on track as it is supposed to be. So please do not penalize OOCG and CO, as they are the so-called savior of the debate in this question number 5. Number 6. You are judging a debate where OG has laid out many logical premises, problem identification, and mechanizations of the benefit. CG, from your observations, only adds examples that support the logical premises coming from OG. Therefore, OG must be higher than CG due to the derivative nature of the extension. The answer is false, because judges cannot automatically give OG a higher ranking just because they laid out any logical premises, problem identification, and mechanization of the benefit. It does not guarantee they're winning over CG. Judges should still consider CG's extension, the new examples brought by CG, when properly framed as the most important one in the debate, can be a very important addition that makes CG better than OG. So please make sure that you need to also assess the framing and also assess the way the debaters emphasize the importance of the unique premises or the added examples or even the added logical premises that has been brought by CG. Please do not directly say that CG was derivative towards OG and then that therefore CG cannot win in this debate. So please be flexible in assessing between the dynamics between opening versus closing. Yeah, please refer to the judging seminar that we have shared in the WhatsApp group. So yeah, I hope all judges can be meticulous in this matter. Question number 7. You can discount arguments that are factually incorrect, even when there is no other bench in the room that pointed out that incorrectness. The answer is false. You cannot discount a factually incorrect argument that is not even pointed out as false by the other teams. The argument itself does not only consist of the facts, there are also logical reasons behind it, right? So however, you can talk about the factual inaccuracy during the constructive sessions. So even though certain arguments are factually incorrect, as long as the logical explanation behind it was still logical in the debate, was still significant in the debate, or even relevant in the debate, yeah, please make sure that you still credit the ideas under the logical links, under the relevance, under the significance, or even the likelihood characterization, or any other necessary metric that can give certain teams an upper hand reasons. All right. So make sure that do not heavily punish the factual incorrectness as the sin that caused them a certain loss. So please make sure on that one. Question number 8. A POI delivered by an OO that strengthens their own argument as well as pointing out the mistake in CG's case can be used as one of the tipping points to decide OO is over CG. The answer is definitely true. POI must be credited as a response. POI is also a way for opening teams to engage with closing teams. Judges can make POI as the tipping point on determining the winning team. So based on the debating seminar this afternoon, that's exactly why POI is very, very crucial. So please make sure that you accept POI and offer POI in the tournament later on tomorrow. Question number 9. The Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister bring two arguments that fundamentally contradict each other. This will imply that OG cannot get any higher rank rather than the 4th place. The answer is false. There is never any automatic 4th in the debate. OG's contradiction might reduce their persuasiveness, but to determine their ranking, OG must be compared against the other 3 teams in the debate earlier, despite the fact there is a fundamental contradiction. So please make sure that you still need to be very comparative, very holistic in assessing the debate, not only using a sin list and deciding which one that has the most sin, which one has the least sin. The least sin will get first, the most sin will get fourth. Judging does not work that way. So please make sure you still holistically assess the debate based on the dynamic, based on the comparisons, based on the meticulous metric that you can illustrate or you can draw based on the debate that you assess in the tournament tomorrow. Question number 10. The motion is this house regrets the existence of slum tourism. OG brought an extremely philosophical argument about why slum tourism in and of itself is not justified. CG extends this debate by talking about how badly slum tourism impacts the vulnerable followers. CG says OG's argument is not available as there is no future impact in OG's argument. In this case, you must give the winning to CG over OG. The answer is false, because practical arguments should not automatically win over principal arguments. I have stated this in the debating seminar earlier. The strength of practical arguments and the strength of principal arguments are symmetrical in a certain debate. So judges should weigh the importance and the explanation given how each team elaborates and frame them. So that's exactly why in BP judging and in BP debating, please make sure you do not only assess the debater's value or quality only under the basis of the elaboration. So the unique thing about BP is that, yeah, you need to also assess how they frame the importance behind their ideas. So not only that you need to judge a certain value of a certain team only by the elaboration, but the way they frame the issue, the way they put a certain significance, the way they put a certain importance behind their case. Because yeah, the skills to elaborate are widely accessible now. But in order to make things very important, in order to make things more important rather than the other teams, that's the kind of comparative advantage that we need to be aware of as a judge. So that's for the 10 questions. All right. So yeah, in the next video, we will move on to the second part, that is the debate exhibition. Thank you so much for watching the first part of the judge test result and also the discussion.